Welcome back to Medieval Kingdoms Abridged as Toulouse. Last time we fought a decisive battle against France and took out one of their main armies. We also lost one of our armies, including our faction leader. But while things aren't going that well at home, we captured Lyon and we've just captured Orléans from France, so the Kingdom of France doesn't have that much left anymore. They did still have an army besieging Toulouse, but after the next end turn sequence, that solved itself because they decided not to go for it in the end. Once we're back in control, there's this flashing button down here. Decided to give it a look and it says we can become a kingdom in here. This is a decision event, which I guess is a new thing the mod adds in. Having 4 regions lets us call ourselves a kingdom. Decided to do it. It doesn't say if there's any up or downside to it, but now we are the Kingdom of Toulouse instead of the county, so when I mistakenly call my faction leader our king, it won't be a mistake anymore. Anyway, as for the situation, we've got some scraps of French troops sitting around our territory. There's a smaller group there in the west and a bigger one off somewhere else. We're going to somewhat ignore them still, but I am going to put some levies together since we have a tiny bit of income, so we'll have some defending troops to try and stop anything going wrong. My big plan was to actually go and attack Paris this turn. However, someone else had the same idea. It's the dirty English. They're already here besieging it. Well, that's our plan out the window then. It seems we're not going to be able to take the French capital, but at least it means the French are going to lose this war. Looks like Rouen is also under siege, as we can tell through the fog of war because the siege towers still show up. Handy. That means France is in big trouble and our war is all of a sudden effectively won. With this new threat of England being on more of our border and being more powerful, I decided to try and get some more deals with them, and I got military access, and that's the one I really needed, because now we can go through Bordeaux, linking our new territory with our old. Good stuff, and it should reduce the chance of England invading, because they'll like me and trust me a little bit more. So yes, I was going to bring the main force home and just see what we should do next, but what we should do next was determined by someone else. It's the Dauphine of Venois. They have decided they're going to declare war on us for some reason. They're actually a vassal of the Holy Roman Empire, but luckily it seems they can act autonomously in this regard. They're not drawing in the millions of other states, so we're just at war with this one region. Nothing too difficult for us now that we are a 4-region kingdom after all. Some more bad news is coming in, although I guess this is bad news for someone else. The Mongols are invading. Whether that's going to affect us in any way, well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. There's that other French army I mentioned. It's big enough that it could potentially challenge one of our regions, so I'd like to just end the war with France. I thought they might peace out because they're in such huge trouble, but actually no, even with the bribe they want to continue the war, so we'll just keep ignoring them really and hope they don't cause too much trouble. In the meantime, our main force will go check out this situation at Venois. They've only got a half stack of troops, so that's a good start. Our full stack will start moving over. If they want to attack us, that's going to be a very hard time for them. My little group of levies that I recruited goes and takes out the small French army near Toulouse, so that's something cleared away. Now we get this message saying that we've got low integrity on our main force, and this is going to be a running theme. We're really struggling with integrity because it's just going down all the time, no matter what we do. Usually in Attila, in my experience, integrity doesn't matter at all, but here, we're losing integrity constantly, and one reason is that we lack political power. We need to play some politics. I tried to get my king to adopt someone. If we adopt an influential character, our family will become more powerful, and this may unlock different buffs from the whole power system that increase our integrity. However, this thing came along and I inadvertently walked into a big trap actually. It's a marriage offer from the Count next door. He's actually already offered this several times already in the campaign, and I just rejected him every time. But now, thinking about playing politics, I decided to accept the deal, because I thought maybe this would give me extra family members to work with, and it works in the exact opposite way, let me tell you. Some nice bad news coming in. The Pope dislikes us now because we failed a mission that we apparently had to build a church. Not sure I would have been able to do that even if I knew it was a mission, but that's a shame. My adoption plan has failed, meaning our political power has gone down even further. And there's the announcement that we've actually been downgraded in the overall power levels, changing our buffs, making our integrity situation even worse. And the main reason is this marriage thing. It works the other way around to how I thought. All of your wife's influence is taken away. You don't gain the husband's influence into your little political group here. So we're in trouble. We've got no money, we've got no power. all of our armies want to mutiny at a moment's notice, we need to do something to get out of this situation. Really, I can only try to get an adoption or a marriage through. I can marry my faction leader, that's how I can increase my power. However, we can increase our dominion, our relative power, by decreasing the influence of everyone else. So, we can use the offices system to try that. We can just promote everyone to various offices, and in my experience, promotions usually cost more influence than you get for having the office. So overall, we can decrease everyone else's fame over time and make our lame king seem less bad. As for military strategy, I decided to set an ambush on the road between Lyon and Venois, hoping to lure the enemy's main force out and quickly destroy them. What actually happened was a little bit different. They decided to take a different road out of Venois, allowing them to bypass me, not go for Lyon, and go for Orléans instead. Didn't expect that, but I guess they had that option the whole time. That's a shame. However, their army's not that big, so this isn't a huge deal. First, I can just go back with my main force and attack them this turn. They retreat, but they only retreat to the other side of the town, so I can now move through the town for free, and the garrison is in range of this battle, meaning we have a huge advantage, and we could just auto-resolve those guys to death. Even our initial army had the advantage, but that completely seals the deal. We kill most of them, and then because they just retreated, the rest of them get deleted. And that's that. All of a sudden it seems like this war is going to be just fine. At the start of the next turn, the main French army and this tiny other sack they had somewhere started besieging Orléans, but there's not much they can do. They both retreat when we challenge them to battle. They're going to be dying off because, as you can see up north, they have now lost all of their territory, so they take constant attrition. As for the smaller group here, well, it's on the road to our new target, so we might as well just kill them off. Handy for gaining experience, and we can do the old take on warriors thing to actually get some men back, since we do need some more troops to fill out our ranks. That said, the enemy don't have anything, so we don't necessarily need them. I thought I'd just go besiege them right now. We've got a little bit of time after winning those fights. They increase your integrity, these victories. So we can go and lay siege to the town for a while if we need to, but we don't need to. They actually had a general standing just outside the town, so by attacking him, we can turn this into a field battle. It's the classic siege draw out. If we kill the entire garrison in this battle, no siege will be required, so that's going to be our main priority. We spent the opening of the battle just walking at them. By the time we arrive at the enemy general's position, his reinforcements have showed up and it's battle time. We begin things with a crossbow barrage. This is pretty good because we hit these knights right here, a unit that presumably is especially weak against crossbow fire, or at least crossbows are more efficient against them because of their armor-piercing damage, presuming it works the same as it does in base game Attila anyway. My knights are on the way around to the enemy's rear right, because all of their crossbows are over there. We would like to get a nice rear charge on them. No resistance on my left flank, so we can move up to do some outflanking maneuvers there. The enemy had a couple of units of spears that slammed into my couple of units of spears. Now I'm trying to micro my crossbows to shoot their slow-moving Vosges units at the back, who are going to be nice juicy targets as well. My slow-moving Vosges units are doing the outflanking maneuver. Just about the worst possible way of setting this up, but generally I don't plan that far in advance, or at all. Well, at least this cav charge at the back worked. We scatter the enemy's crossbows and start gradually killing them, presumably at least. Here, I thought I was in trouble. My general was stuck in a melee. I ordered him to retreat, not realizing that would have killed him. Luckily, he ignored my order and didn't retreat. Still, he got hit in the flank by the enemy's general, but in a strange twist, it was the enemy general who died making that attack. So that's great. We see some routes coming from that immediately, and that clears up that central blob a bit for us. You can see on the balance bar, we are already winning this battle. We just need to cut through all these millions of crossbows who are constantly skirmishing this way and that, and we'll eventually be somewhere with this. I wasn't doing it very well. You can see I'm using my slow-moving Vosges troops to chase crossbows, and the crossbows occasionally shoot them, killing a load of my men. There's also a fight going on towards the middle of the screen there, where my melee troops are just absolutely failing to defeat the enemy's crossbows in melee, and then they get rear attacked by a coming back from routing enemy commander. Nasty stuff. Luckily most of his men were dead already, so it's not too big of a charge. Back near where the front line was, I used a couple units of crossbows to just point blank range rout everything. Pretty sure I shot a whole bunch of my own men as well, can't really tell, we probably did. Doesn't necessarily matter. The point is, we need to kill everything on the field, so even as the battle comes to an end, we've still got a challenge to complete. If any unit gets away, we'll have to do a 2-turn siege on the town. I think you have to kill like 90% of a unit, maybe it's 80%. We need to kill some amount of every unit individually to delete the garrison army, a bit different to the medieval 2 siege drawouts. And here is eventually the result, skipping over the chasing phase. We got it! We took out every unit in the enemy's garrison, meaning the city is now just straight up empty. We'll take 1% replenishment from the captives, because that thing is bugged when reinforcements are involved. You normally get a lot more, but it doesn't work with reinforcements, basically. They'll finish the game one day, and then we move on into the city. No siege, no battle or anything, it's just immediately ours. Looks like whoever those guys were, they're probably regretting that random declaration of war against us. This territory should be easy to hold, it's developed, it's in good condition, they're mostly Christian as well, so no issues there. Should all be fine, this is just free money and free territory for us. With that, our wars are pretty much over. There was a rebellion in Toulouse, but my little levy stack killed it. And the French army that was hanging around is long gone by now. I think it wandered off into English territory and died or something. Now this footage can represent what happened over the next like 5 turns or something. Basically I went round all of the minor factions nearby and got all of the basic deals, picked up as many trade deals as I could, a bunch of non-aggression, even some military access here and there. And this is all because we're not going to bother piecemeal attacking the Holy Roman Empire or going to war with our neighbouring Christian kingdoms. We're going to be quite nice to them and have some unity, and for the most part we did get the deals we wanted. In particular, we got this deal with England, Defensive Alliance. This is going to secure our territory quite well. Now the main power that could threaten us and sort of strategically should threaten us might not. Why am I doing all this? Well, it's to set up for what we're actually going to do next. Before we can do anything, I needed to grab a few more units and just replenish my army. This is very slow in this mod. It takes 2 turns to recruit most things, and you can't recruit that many things at once. So more turns pass as we prepare, but we eventually come to the point when we're ready to do something. The politics has been going on during this time as well, not going very well. This guy tried to kill me and then he likes me for not killing him back or something. And my attempts to get a wife keep failing. My guy is just unmarriable. And this is reducing our control even more because everyone's laughing at him, etc. So now we're having even more trouble with integrity because of that. All good stuff, all we can do is keep trying really. As for our next actual move in the campaign, we're going to go south because there's a war going on in Spain between the Almohad Caliphate and the various other Spanish kingdoms, one of which we started off already allied to. So I figured, well, we're probably supposed to come down here and be helping them for the Pope and stuff. So that's our new objective. We'll try and, well, help the Iberians / steal their territory by reconquering it in our own name. At the start of the next turn, there's a new Pope. Hopefully he'll like my plan to go and help out his friends down in Iberia. And we finally got our king married. This means we'll have an extra character gaining influence, and this will mitigate the general fall of our ruling family. Not that I especially care, I don't mind if our ruling family dies and gets replaced by someone else, but I think you lose the campaign? I can't quite remember because I've never actually managed to achieve that. Looks like we've got plenty of disloyal governors and generals, so just one little mishap and everyone will probably rise up and our territory will disappear. That's nice, we'll just have that hanging over us the whole time and see what happens. Now we need to buy ourselves into this war, or get bought in that is. I make my ally give me some cash, now we're officially at war with the Caliphate, and we can start moving. We actually can't do anything this turn, so I thought we might as well not move all that far. That way we can stay in allied territory. The main reason to think about that is integrity. Being in enemy territory reduces your integrity every turn, and we can fortify if we don't move that far, which increases integrity. So there we go, we're buying some more time before the men rise up against us. That will probably help out in the campaign. There was also another faction that the Aragonese want us to declare war on, the Marinid Sultanate. I decided to ignore them, but they are actually causing quite a kerfuffle over here in the northwest of Iberia. In some ways this is pretty good, because the more territory the Christian factions lose, the more territory I can potentially gain without being at war with these factions and making the Pope angry and that sort of thing. So let them take it all, maybe we'll go get it back later. In the meantime, we're going to head on towards my target, Valencia. Luckily enough, as I approach, it becomes clear we can do another siege draw out here. They've got their main army standing outside the walls. The garrison is quite big, including some heavy knights in there. No idea about the rest of the units, but a lot of them are light tier units, which means they shouldn't last too long in a fight. Let's get into this then. The balance bar's slightly in their favour, but that's probably nothing to worry about. I didn't know any of the enemy units' stats at this point, or my own unit stats for that matter. I actually happen to know what they are now because I checked them later on for various reasons that we'll look into in this campaign. Long story short, they're actually a lot better than I presumed, but not knowing anything about that, let's bumble into this one. And it really did start off with some bumbling because I was trying to climb up this big hill on the map, and it turned out the enemy were also doing the same thing at the same time, and we sort of discovered each other at the summit. Since I know all they can have here is their initial army because the reinforcements are coming on from so far away, I was eager to just charge forwards and try to plough the enemy back and take this position. Got a nice fight there where our cav fight with the enemy's crossbow cav. We presumably have an advantage, obviously we don't know the stats, but it's nice to think that we do. Their general runs away there, which really helps. I was confused by how many rocks are on the floor, this place kind of looks weird. Anyway, here's a nice move from the enemy. A unit hiding behind a ridge appears and flank attacks my crossbows. Fortunately, we had cav and spears right next to them to intercept, but we will lose a bunch of crossbows to that. The enemy also have archers who are now coming up the hill further back, and I'm going to race around the fight with some cav to charge right into those guys and try to pick them off on their own. We win the fight on our flank and we can now successfully take this nice position on the hill, which I want to have before the enemy's garrison troops with all of the infantry arrive so we can easily take them out. However, we do need to do something about this fight in the trees here. My cav are getting bogged down fighting these archers, and these archers are part of the me not knowing their stats issue. They're actually very good in melee, not really very good, but they can contest fighting with my cav, which is why they're not really dying. So we need to get in there with some charges to finish them off, and more cav arriving will see to that. Meanwhile, the army roughly takes up position, although there's plenty of impassable terrain ruining everything there. These fights in the forests get messy, especially when the enemy's heavy cav from their garrison goes in and joins the fight, which is quite hard for me to actually see as well while playing. Their general makes a nice move. He charges up into our spear line. We can immediately outflank him, and the spears will have an advantage overall, so that's nice. However, more enemy cav have surrounded this isolated unit of spears, and now they're in trouble. But we can use crossbows to try and clear that situation out, probably killing our own men, but we don't mind too much. Now our cav fighting out in the forest have taken losses, but we have gradually driven away the enemy's archers, and now we can consolidate them all together to take out the remaining heavy cav in the forest. We also killed the enemy general, and this causes another heavy cav unit to rout up on the hill. The issue is, these garrison heavy cav units need to die in this battle, and a routing cav unit is just what you don't need for a siege draw-out, because they're going to relatively easily slip away and go off the map somewhere without taking sufficient casualties to destroy the garrison army, and if there's one man left alive inside the fortress at the end, then we have to siege it for a turn. Unfortunately, that is going to be the reality here, because I am letting even some of the foot units go, because I was eager to reform on the hill and retake control of this battle basically before everything else shows up. So we'll just treat it like a normal battle from now on. I thought I was safe to reform, but actually there was a full unit of enemy cavalry that took me by surprise, came out of nowhere and killed one of my units there. This is nice, I guess, in that because we're not looking at replays like we usually do in the Abridged series, is all the times when normally I would just say this weird thing happened because I wasn't paying attention, now you can see it in real time. You can see the mistakes happen or not happen because they're mostly happening off screen. Very nice, eh? So I end up charging back and recommitting to a fight down the hill there as some enemy infantry also appear. On the hill we do need to move forwards actually, because the enemy have plenty of archers and slingers who outrange all of my stuff, so they're going to force us down as well. Overall, holding the top of the hill just isn't really happening in this battle. Still, the hill is somewhat useful. At the very least, the fact that we took out the enemy's main army first means that now we have a big advantage over the garrison. This blobby fight at the bottom of the hill is going to be brute force to victory as everything there grinds through the enemy's heavy cav, and we finish that up just in time. Just as the enemy's main infantry body starts to arrive here in the rough centre, all those units can now be in a position to outflank them. My main strategy here was actually to not engage the enemy too much. You can see me pulling back and being defensive, because if the enemy hang around this area, my crossbows will gradually snipe them. So we want some melees going where at least the enemy's back or flank is facing up the hill so we can make use of the crossbows. With the enemy slingers and archers, we're just running at them. My generals ran out and managed to get a fight going, so that's good. Everyone else, well, it's going to be a bit harder for them, but we can still try. If the enemy are just skirmishing away, that's better than them shooting at us. So the whole hill is gone now, we're just running all over the place. But we do have 3 units of cav who can easily go behind the enemy army, so this thing is going to be a win. We can rear attack everything and hit the enemy's archers as well. They prove to be much easier to rout than they are to kill. And once that's done, we'll need to chase them down off the field, because even though we can't really do the siege draw out due to the enemy's cav escaping early on, we might as well kill these guys because that'll save us losing men in the auto-resolve that will inevitably come of that siege. So, let's just skip to when all this is done. Here's the result. Some good news is that the unit of cav that got rear attacked by surprise just now didn't completely die, so we can replenish them back later on. However, the enemy garrison is alive, only 1 unit was actually over the threshold, those cav who I mentioned escaping earlier. So that's the end of the dream. We're going to have to besiege this place and spend a whole turn making a ladder so we can go in and kill these few guys to finish the siege. Of course, that's not going to be much trouble. The balance bar is actually surprisingly big for the enemy despite their lack of troops. I guess it factors in towers and stuff. Anyway, once the next turn comes about, we can auto-resolve that. We lose like 10 men and we've taken the territory. We're going to go occupy because my plan is to actually hold all of this territory. But that is going to be difficult because now we're taking territory that belongs to another culture, effectively. We're going to have huge religious penalties because they're not all Christians, or they're mostly not Christians, and because the main city chain is from another culture, you don't get a garrison for occupying these places. You have to spend loads of money and take a long time converting them over to a European or Christian style city, whatever it is, before we get a garrison. Meaning that if our army goes somewhere, one enemy general could come along and retake the city without having to do a siege, and that's going to make holding this territory especially entertaining, of course. There are various ways around this and things we can do to mitigate the risk. We'll look at that in the next part. I'm also going to try and progress towards building these military ordered churches I was just looking at to unlock special holy units like Knights Templar. That sounds interesting. We'll need a lot of money before we can achieve that though. So how will this reconquest / theft of Iberia go for me? Find out in the next part.